Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie, and I'm back with another Act 5 series. Now, I'm making this Act 5 series for a number of reasons. The first is that I have gotten a lot of questions about Act 5, and I am finding them hard to answer because it was actually a long time ago when I first cleared it. And also, there are a lot of new players out there. I know I have some friends who have just started playing the game, and they're looking for more Act 5 content, especially with champs that are relevant to 2019. So with this series, I'll do my best to, try to explain and walk through Act 5, go over the paths, the nodes, the bosses, and champ information that is relevant to 2019. So for this video, we're going to be looking at Act 5.2.5, Insurrection. Now, I will not be going through each path in a video. I may do that in later chapters, but in 2019, these earlier chapters, they're pretty straightforward. Also, from this point forward, I will be putting in timestamps for whatever paths that I do record in the description below if you want to jump to a certain path and watch it. The first thing I want to do, however, is go over this spreadsheet that I have created for Act 5. Now, there is a link to this spreadsheet in the description of this video. It is a live spreadsheet, so I will be making updates to it. So if you have any suggestions for it, please feel free to put it in the comments of this video and I can update it as we go. So if we look here, I have all of the paths laid out. And so for this one, we've got five paths. Excuse me, I can't talk. And I have on each of the paths, I have, the champ that you will face and the nodes that are on it, or the debuffs that are, or the buffs that the champ has. And I kind of have them labeled which is the easiest and which is the hardest, but it's also very champ dependent. So there is also a map that I have created and a link to the map. Feel free to download the map and use it as you're scouting out your paths to, build your team around so you kind of know who you're going to be facing. I also have a description of all the nodes that you'll be facing and a description of the boss, the nodes that he is linked to, or that link to him, I should say. Okay, now most of the buffs in these, and the fights in these first few chapters are pretty straightforward. But as we get into the later chapters of Act 5, they're going to get a little bit more, tricky. So the global nodes we have once again are role reversal, my favorite, and role reversal, basically the roles are reversed, right? And I kind of have a little pet peeve about this is when you first load up your champ, it doesn't show. So it's still saying that Hyperion has the class disadvantage over Ghost Rider, Cosmic versus Mystic. In reality, those are switched with role reversal. I don't know. It's just a little pet peeve of mine, and I think it should be fixed, but, that's neither here nor there. So, moving on. And the next global node we have is Bane. And so for Bane is whichever champion lands the first hit will place a debuff on the other champ that deals 2.5% of the current health, and Bane will transfer every 10 seconds. So now you're really going to want to, time your hits and time your specials with Bane. And it can be a tricky node where you kind of have to pay more attention to the fight than normal. When this chapter was first released, I think it was actually the introduction of Bane. I could be wrong. If I am, let me know in the comments below. So for most players at the time, it was new and kind of a bit of a challenge, but now we see Bane in other aspects of the game, like dungeons and the monthly event quests. So hopefully if you haven't done this chapter yet, you are at least kind of familiar with that node. Now there are actually several ways to deal with Bane. Timing your combos and specials with the Bane timer to reduce the time that it is applied to you is probably the best strategy when using any champ. So for instance, you may parry an opponent but don't attack immediately, so your 5-hit combo will end right as soon as the Bane timer does, thus transferring the Bane back over. Now, using champs with long specials and specials that have a high hit count are also a good workaround with Bane. Blade special 2, Medusa special 2, they have a ton of hits to it. We'll look at some good ways to counter that more when we look at the videos. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the map. And if we look at the map, there's really no easiest path in my opinion. Paths 1 through 4 are about the same in difficulty, with path 5 being the hardest. But again, this is all really champ dependent and how you deal with certain interactions. Now, there are 8 links to the boss with 9 buffs associated with them. Every path you take will remove at least one node from the boss, but you're still going to have to fight a heavily linked boss. Good thing about it, though, is it's Daredevil Netflix, so it's not hard. So if we go here and we go ahead and start, so we start here at the star, and you will always fight Moon Knight, and you will always fight Hood. So those are the two champs that you will always fight. And like I said, Daredevil Netflix is the boss at the end, and he's actually not that difficult even with all the nodes up, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at path 1. So path 1 is the green path that we have here. So we start with Moon Knight, and he's really not that hard. Then we go through Agent Venom, and we port over here to Old Man Logan. Now, Old Man Logan, Jane Foster, Phoenix, and Black Widow and Ultron, and Scarlet Witch, I'm sorry, and Scarlet Witch, they all have buff duration of 20% and mirror image. Any champ really will do the job, but if you bring in a champ that gets a lot of furies and cruelties, then your opponent, they're going to copy them, and it's going to make them hit a lot harder. So, it's not too bad, but you're definitely going to want to keep that in mind. Now, the buff duration is not that bad. Old Man Logan, Phoenix, and Ultron will probably benefit the most, but you can always nullify these buffs, so using a Mystic champ will be good. Once you take out Scarlet Witch, you remove buff duration and mirror image from the boss. Okay. So then we go over here to Hyperion, and Hyperion, let's all face it, he can be a bit of a pain in the ass, especially when he doesn't want to be cooperative and throw his specials. So try bringing in a power control champ. For this is role reversal, so you can bring in one of the Visions. That'll be good. Magic is always great for Hyperion. Then we move through Howard, Gwenpool, and Cable. And from here, we go ahead and we shoot on down. Now, this is where you can kind of do a choose your own adventure right here, where you can take out She-Hulk or you can move straight to Hood. She-Hulk is unlinked, so it just all depends on how you want to do it. And then, of course, you go to the boss. So, and then we have path 2, which is this red path. So again, we go through Moon Knight and Agent Venom, but then we shoot all the way down here, and we go and we take out Black Panther, Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, War Machine, and OG Deadpool, and finally Guillotine. Now, all these champs have Spectre, and that will reverse healing effects on you. So having suicides on while doing this path is not recommended because, the suicides will trigger willpower, and that will be reversed unless you bring in a robot champ. So whenever the Spectre timer is up, do not try to be healing. Otherwise, it'll reverse heal you, and that's not good. So once you take out Guillotine, you remove Spectre from the boss, and then, everything's pretty copacetic with that. And so then you can go and you take out Black Panther Civil War, Ronin, OG Thor, and King Groot. And taking out King Groot, they are noted with Ragnarok, and killing King Groot will remove Ragnarok from Daredevil Netflix. From there, you can port over, and again, you can either decide to go this way to Hood or come down here through She-Hulk, go to Hood, and then, to the boss. It's just kind of like a choose your own adventure right there. All right, path 3, which is in the yellow, may actually be one of the easiest paths. It may actually be the easiest path as, buffs and champs go. So again, we start out with Moon Knight, and then we go over here, and we port all the way over to here where we get to Psylocke, Civil Warrior, then we come down here to Iron Fist, Archangel, OG Cap, and all these guys, they all have True Strike. So again, True Strike, nothing too hard. And then, from there you go to Black Panther Civil War, Ronin, OG Thor, King Groot, again, removing Ragnarok from the boss, coming over here, and then you teleport straight down here, go to Hood, and then to Netflix Daredevil, the boss. So, okay, now path 4. I'm not going to go over path 4 or 5 on the map here because I actually have videos on them, so we will go ahead and go over those with the video. Now, path 4 can be kind of tricky. Path 4 and path 5 are definitely the harder of the paths. So we got Moon Knight here. And again, Moon Knight's not hard. He's unnoted, so really all you got to do is pay attention to the Bane timer. You want to kind of parry and hold on to your parry and then wait until that Bane timer is about to expire. Really, once you get their health down low enough, you don't really have to pay too much attention to the Bane timer because it's not going to do that much damage. Remember, it does 2.5% of their max health. So once you get them down low enough, that damage isn't going to be too bad. It'll be pretty, it'll be easy to deal with. I don't know what I was trying to say there. But Moon Knight, he's not hard. I do recommend, though, paying attention to the phases of the moon. You don't want to go in there when he's in his evade phase because that will make him kind of hard to fight. And fighting an evade champ with Bane is kind of a giant pain in the ass because they're evading and you don't want to get that Bane timer put on you. So you just kind of want to watch out for that. Definitely plan your paths out with Moon Knight around his phases. Okay, so now we're moving on to Rhino, and he has adaptive, so he's going to build physical and energy resistance depending upon which you attack with. So I brought in Sentinel here. Rhino is beefy. I mean, there is no way around it. And Rhino can be kind of tricky, right? Because you're going to want to intercept, and you can't really intercept Rhino because most of the time he's unstoppable. The only time you can intercept him is when he is unblockable, and that's kind of a gamble. So definitely pay attention to when he's unstoppable, and definitely don't let him charge you. If he charges you, he can get unblockable, especially if you're a smaller champ. So be wary of bringing, what size champs in there. Remember, smaller champs give him a more higher percentage to go unblockable rather than just unstoppable. But overall, Rhino is really not a hard champ. The best way to fight Rhino is to get him in the corner and play him close. That's the easiest way to play Rhino. Now, both his specials are pretty easy to evade. I brought in Blade here. Blade's a good option for Rhino, especially if you bring in the Ghost Rider synergy. You can get the danger sense, and you also get those bleeds on, which will help. Any damage over time debuff is going to help you out a lot here. But Blade will make pretty short work. Plus, he's got a long special too with a lot of hits, which is great for Bane. All right, so now we're moving on to Punisher, and also he has adaptive. So he's really not that hard. Again, he's going to, get energy and physical resistance. The one thing you want to be careful about Punisher is remember that he's going to probably get that Endure at the end. So if you think you might kill him off and he gets that Endure and you push him to a special 3, it's not going to be probably too good for you. You're also going to want to bait out the special 1 over the special 2 for Punisher. You're going to take a lot of block damage regardless, but the special 1 is a lot easier. You can at least dodge that first punch and then block the second. I mean, look at all that block damage we took from that special 2 of Punisher. So that was pretty rough. You definitely are going to want a high damage dealing champ to get this fight with over as quick as possible. Okay, so now we're moving on to Groot, and he's got adaptive as well. Now, Magic is a great champ for this because she has power control. When you have Bane, any power control champ is going to work out great for you because you don't have to worry about baiting those specials and potentially getting that Bane placed on you. So she is great for this. The visions are good for this too. Now, Magic is great for this fight because, see, he's got all those buffs up. So if you launch your special 3 with Magic, which we're going to see here in a minute, just trying to bait out this special 1 from him. There he goes. But when he has all those buffs up, the more buffs that a champ has up when you launch your special 3 with Magic, the more damage she's going to do. So for fights like Groot, King Groot, she is great for this. And also with Magic, you've got that limbo. So even if you get that Bane placed on you when the limbo is up, that's going to help you out a lot because you're just going to regen that back. So that's another reason why she is also great for Bane. And it's also a reason why if you're facing her, she is bad with Bane. And some other nodes, but that's later. That was the last chapter. So anyway, I mistimed that special 3 before. He didn't have all those buffs up, so it really didn't do a lot of damage. So you definitely want to make sure with Magic, when you launch your special 3, they have a lot of buffs up, so it's pretty much like insta-death for them. Okay, so now we're moving on to Luke Cage, and again, he has adaptive. Now, I brought in Magic here. She does have the role reversal, so she does have class advantage, which is great. Now, she is really MVP for this path. Being able to keep your opponent power locked is a huge plus. So if you have your Mystic Dispersion set right, you can be at a special 2 in no time and just constantly power locking them. You can also save for your special 3 when you get that first tick. Launch that special 3 and it'll instantly transfer the Bane back to them, keeping and so it's really like you're getting no damage done to you, right? So that's awesome. Definitely try to keep that Bane off of you. Now Luke, he's a beefy boy, but his specials are pretty easy to bait out. I prefer baiting his special 1 over his special 2, but either way, they're both pretty easy, so that shouldn't mess you up too much in that regard. But you definitely want to try and keep him power locked so you don't have to worry about baiting the specials, getting that Bane on you, and that sort of thing. All right, so now we're moving on to Karnak, and he also has adaptive. And what makes this a pain in the ass is Karnak already has a ton of physical resistance. So being on adaptive just makes it so much worse. He's not a hard champ. You don't want to push him to that special 2, but he's being kind of stingy. His special 1 is a lot easier. It really does no damage if you just avoid that first hit. As soon as he punches out, you can run in and start smacking him with that special 1. So I highly recommend trying to bait out those special 1s. Bringing in magic or even one of the visions to keep him down, to at least 1 bar of power or no bars of power is ideal. Age of Ultron vision, not only will he power burn, but he'll power steal. So that's beneficial too. You could bring in Psylocke here. She would have the class disadvantage, but just spam those SP1s. She would be another good option for this. Plus, her special 1 does a couple hits, so, and it's a bit of a long special 1 too, so that would be beneficial for that Bane. You definitely want to try to keep him. You want to bring into a high crit champ or a bleed champ. That would help you out a lot for this fight because of the high physical resistance that he already has. My computer is dinging at me. So, but any damage over time debuff champ is going to help you out. Now we're moving on to Hyperion, and Hyperion has enhanced abilities, and giving Hyperion enhanced abilities really sucks because he is just going to get that power gain like crazy. Now, Hype can be a pain in the ass because sometimes he's stingy and he does not want to throw any special besides a special 3. Ghost Rider is really good for this fight because you can Fate Seal, and so you can stop him from getting that power gain, and you can also power drain him with your special 2. So that's a really good option. Plus, Ghost Rider has that regen, so if you do take a special 3 to the face, you can gain some of that health back. Plus, with Ghost Rider's Damnation, he puts it's kind of like a degen on them, so, and it will keep them power locked for 4 seconds. So he's another good option with that for the special 3. Brought in Sentinel with this one. He has technically the class advantage here. He's probably not the greatest for this fight. I was trying to build up analysis charges, and it really wasn't working. You can see I got the Bane put on me. I got the heal block, but pushed him to the special 3, and Sentinel's going to eat a special 3 from Hype right there. So you will probably take, if you can't keep him power locked, you'll probably take at least 1 special 3 from Hype. So definitely keep that in mind coming in. Magic is a really good option for Hyperion. All right, so now we're moving on to Howard the Duck, and like Hyperion, he has enhanced abilities. So you want to try to get rid of those armors. So I brought in Ghost Rider, dropped the special 1, Fate Sealed him, so no more armors, but I did get the Thunder Quack on me. I wasn't able to get a parry off in time to stop that, and Ghost Rider dead. Now, if you parry him, it'll stop it. The regen, he's going to regen a lot of health back, right? But the Thunder Quack is what you really need to pay attention to because that's going to cause you to take a lot of damage, and if you get the Bane on you with that, it's not going to end well. Magic would be great for this. If you can't get rid of those armor ups, if you don't have a champ 2, Magic is great for that with those armor ups. All right, so now we're moving on to Gwenpool, and she also has enhanced abilities. And honestly, Gwenpool is not that bad. It's pretty much a standard Gwenpool fight. You just want to kind of pay attention to that Bane, and you also don't want to get hit by her because since she does have enhanced abilities, if she has a bleed on you, that increases her chance to stun you. So you know, if she hits you and gets, you know, a couple bleeds on you, she will probably stun you, and then it's not going to go well for you. So just definitely pay attention to that. But overall, it's just a standard Gwenpool fight, not that hard. Both her special 1 and special 2 are easy. Remember though, if you try thinking you're going to kill her with a special that doesn't have a damage over time, you will not, and she can come back at you swinging. I know I've done it before. I've set my phone down after I've launched a special where I thought I've killed her, and I look down and she's smacking me in the face. So definitely be mindful of that. But overall, Gwenpool, not a hard champ to fight. All right, so now we're moving on to Cable, and I hate Cable. Everyone has those champs that they hate. Cable is my champ that I hate to fight. All the time, no matter where he is, arena, AQ, war, event quest, doesn't matter. I hate to fight him. He's just a jagoff. Okay, so he has enhanced abilities. So he's gonna get a lot of his power gain and regen. So you're definitely want to be mindful of that. Bring in champs that can nullify. So, you know, Ghost Rider's good, Magic can nullify, Scarlet Witch would be good. Any champ that can nullify those buffs is going to help you out tremendously. Or bringing in a heal block champ like Yondu is another good option. Okay, so now I decided to bring in Sentinel since he has the heal block off of his special 1. So that'll stop Cable's regen, which is something you want to do. So, you know, Sentinel, Yondu, those Proxima Midnight, those are great champs to stop that heal block. Prox gets it off her special 1. All right, so now we're moving on to Hood, and you will fight Hood you will fight Hood every time. And Hood, he's unnoted, so it's just a standard Hood fight, but just with Bane. So just be mindful of that Bane timer. You want to be very careful with his specials because his specials are long. Definitely bait out that special 1 over the special 2. You don't want him to go invisible with Bane because you can miss, and if you miss, that's not going to count towards the Bane. So definitely be mindful of that. All right, so now we're moving on to the boss, and this is Daredevil Netflix. So we took out Adaptive from Karnak and enhanced abilities with Cable, and so he's got Spectre. So I brought in Blade here, and so Blade with Spectre. Now you can regen, but you don't want to regen when that little Spectre is up. Okay, so right now the Spectre is up. If you regen with that up, you can see it ticking away. It's doing the reverse heal on me. So not good. But other than that, Netflix Daredevil, he's a pretty easy boss. Now, that's the thing, right? The boss is pretty easy. It's just getting to him that can be a pain in the ass. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look now at Path 5. And again, we're going to go through Moon Knight. And I decided this time to bring in Archangel. And Archangel is great for this entire path because he's got neurotoxins that will stop the heal. A lot of the champs on this path will have Arc Overload, and so you're gonna want to stop the regen. And Archangel with his neurotoxins, once you get his neurotoxins on, they will stop the heal. So just, you know, heavy, he's got a pretty long heavy, does a lot of damage over time. Moon Knight special 2 is kind of long, but it's pretty easy to get that Bane transferred back onto Moon Knight. Overall, not a hard fight. Okay, so now we're moving on to Red Magneto, and he's got Arc Overload. So with Arc Overload, they're gonna regen. So every time that timer goes up, they're gonna regen a percentage of their health back. So he starts his fight healing. So that's why I decided to bring in Yondu. Now, yes, I understand I do have the class disadvantage here because of the role reversal. However, in fights like this, it's really not that important. It's more important to get the abilities that the champ has. So with Yondu, Yondu's got a great heal block. If you hit him with that second Yaka arrow off the special 1 while he's regenning, Yondu will heal block Red Magneto for 20 seconds instead of just 10 when that regen is up. So that's hold out to your special until you see that regen up and then launch it, and that will heal block him for 20 seconds. So we brought in Stark Spidey here. Now, Stark Spidey, yeah, we have the class disadvantage, but he does a ton of damage, number one. And number two, his specials are pretty long. So you definitely want to, keep that in mind with the Bane. Starky is great for this special too. Or excuse me, for this special too, for this path too, because of the taunt that he can put on the opponent. So you really don't have to worry about baiting out specials. You can just place that taunt on them and they'll throw their specials. Definitely definitely try to get that special 1 out of Red Magneto over the special 2. The special 2 can be kind of tricky to evade, number 1, and number 2, you'll still take a lot of block damage from it. Okay, so this is Cosmic Spidey, and this was actually an ambush, and I got ambushed every time on this path. And these ambushes, they're not cupcake ambushes either. I think every time it was either Cosmic Spidey or maybe another Spidey. So, and like I said before, evade plus Bane sucks because you're trying to get it transferred, the Bane transferred back to him, but he's evading. And so the frustration is real. There might have been some swearing. Definitely try to push him to his special 2 over his special 1. It's a lot easier, to evade than the special 1. But bringing in someone that would counter his evade would be great. So Venom, maybe try to put Venom on your team just in case you come up with an evading Spidey with Bane, because that sucks. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay. So moving on the path, we've got Hulk with Arc Overload, and I brought in Hype for this because I wanted to try to incinerate him down. Now, Hype is good for this path too, and for technically Bane in general, because you can get so many specials, number one, from that power gain, and Hype's specials are long and they're a lot of hits. So he's another one, and he gets them so quick, just boom, boom, boom with that power gain. So he's great for this. Plus, you can build your Furies and do a ton of damage with it. Now, Hulk is beefy. Keep that in mind. And also keep in mind with Hulk, the lower in health he gets, the harder he's going to hit. So when he gets down to like 25% health, be careful. He's going to come in and he's going to start hitting like a truck. So that's the part in the fight where you don't want to mess up. But another heal block champ would be great here. Hulk overall, not too bad. All right, so now we're moving on to Drax. And Drax is probably the easiest fight on this path. Both of his specials, they're really easy to dodge. Just don't push him to his special 3. That's not going to be good. Bringing in a high damage dealer like Cap Infinity War to counter that regen is great. Archangel, again, with the neurotoxins is another good one. Yondu here, Sentinel, they would both have the class advantage if you brought either one of those in, plus they heal block off their special ones. So those would be 2 really good options. And also another good one is Domino. Domino, she hits really hard, number 1, and number 2, her specials are really long. So she's another really good option for this. Plus, you can get the crit bleed on, and that'll help out a lot too. Any damage over time is going to help you out tremendously in this. And so, or any other champ that has long specials. So now we're moving on to Juggernaut, who has Arc Overload and Bane. So, and because he's Juggernaut, he has Unstoppable. So this guy can be a giant pain in your ass. The best way to counter him is to stop the Unstoppable with She-Hulk, Spider-Gwen, or Cap Infinity War. You can also stagger it with Hood, or you could even power control him, to just stop him from getting specials with someone like Magic or one of the Visions. That's another really good way. But honestly, your best bet here is going to be either She-Hulk, Spider-Gwen, or Cap Infinity War. That way he never really gets it. But, Hood works great too, gets that stagger on, and then, no more Unstoppable for good old Juggy. You can also get lucky and stop the Unstoppable with Blade with Danger Sense, but that's not always 100% effective. So definitely go, Spider-Gwen, She-Hulk, or Cap Infinity War to stop the Unstoppable. That way you don't have to worry about having the Bane transferred onto you as quickly. So here's Cap doing his thing. Plus, Cap, you know, throw your heavy, and in the middle of your heavy, launch that special 2, and he's going to do a ton of damage. Okay, so now we're moving on to Deadpool X-Force, and he's got Rolling Thunder. Now, if you can play Quake without... Now, I am not the best Quake player. Let's get that out first and foremost. We all have seen it. We've all seen my face blocking. But if you can play Quake style without getting hit or hitting them, you will never have to deal with Bane. So it won't work so well with Arc Overload, but with Bane, it'll work out fantastic. Now, you want to definitely be careful with Deadpool X-Force when you get him down to 30% because he gets that power gain. So you want to try to get him, he should have technically just at 1 bar of power or less than 1 bar of power. Otherwise, once he gets that power gain, he's going to launch a special 3 and the bleed will kill you. All right, so next we're moving on to OG Vision, and he's got Rolling Thunder. So really with this, you want to be mindful of the synthesis. So power locking would be your best option here. Domino does a ton of damage. Gwenpool, she's another one. She gets Enervate off of her special 2. So if you can get her to her special 2, and launch it, then they essentially won't gain any power as you're hitting them. Just don't let them hit you, otherwise they'll gain that power. So, you know, Gwenpool is great here. Spider-Gwen gets Enervate too, so she's another really good option if you have her on your team. Magic, of course, is going to be good for this, and of course, either of the 2 Visions are great for this, either OG Vision or Age of Ultron Vision. Okay, so now we're moving on to Mordo. And he's got Rolling Thunder, and this is the perfect match for Quake if you can play her, because you do not have to worry about that Astral Evade as you're charging your heavy. So if you don't get hit, if you're good at playing Quake, definitely bring her in for this fight and for the Deadpool X-Force fight. She's gonna help you out a lot here if you're good at playing Quake. If not, Iceman can get around his Astral Evade as long as you have Cold Snap up. If not, just remember when he's power gaining, he's most likely to hold block. So you can definitely try to get in and throw your heavy, but he's going to try to be backed up against the wall. And so I got caught there with the Astral Evade. But any champ that's going to put a damage over time debuff on him is going to help you out a lot. All right, so now we're moving on to the Hood, and in all honesty, Gwenpool was probably not the best option for this. Yeah, she does a lot of damage, she can put a lot of bleeds on you, but if she stuns your opponent, it can kind of throw off your timing for that Bane. So keep that in mind if you do decide to bring in Gwenpool for this. So just be mindful of that. She is good for this. She does get Enervate off her special too, and she can put a lot of debuffs on the opponent, but just be mindful in case you do stun them. Okay, so now we're moving on to the boss, and we knocked out Arc Overload and Rolling Thunder. So Gwenpool for this one, probably good, but, you know, again, with the stun. But any champ will really work out for this. Will work for this fight. You want to kind of bring in a high damage dealer when you knock out Arc Overload and Rolling Thunder, or one that's going to put a damage over time debuff to help out with that physical and energy resistance. He's going to probably gain a good bit of physical resistance. Cap is a really good option for this. We do have the class advantage here, but you know, you can just spam the heavy, or his specials are long. His special 1 is longer than his special 2, but his special 2 does a ton of damage. But that's it, guys. That's all that I got for 5.2.5 Insurrection. Let me know in the comments below, was this video helpful? Who did you use if you ran through 5.2.5 already? Would you make the same pass that I did? Which was your worst boss fight? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye.